REACT is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get.
Back here on First Things First, we're now joined by that guy, Super Bowl champ Chris Canty.
Flex, the gold jacket.
Slim around the waist, smooth around the waist.
Hey, I'm trying, man. I'm
See that,
trying to
Jenna?
keep up
Don't
with
try
you.
that.
I was just
Don't
like,
try
What up, Chris?
face,
Slim around the waist,
waist.
smooth around the face.
That's how I'm introducing you from now on.
Please don't.
As the face waist is a waste of face.
It can't get any more awkward, so.
No,
this
trust me,
point.
it can. Canty, the most talked about holdout in the NFL right now is happening with the Dallas Cowboys and the Cowboys' best player, Ezekiel Elliott. Cowboys seem to be taking a hard stance with Zeke. According to Jane Slater of NFL Network, who was on Undisputed and The Herd yesterday, the two sides are not close. When she asked her source if it was the guarantee or the length of the deal, her source said, quote, "It's everything." All right, Chris Canty, are you surprised? What's your reaction to how far apart the two sides are right now?
I'm a little bit surprised because I feel like there's more urgency within that Cowboys organization to try to win a championship. And you're not going to win a championship without Ezekiel Elliott. Now, I heard Stephen Jones' comments yesterday. He said, we're damn sure not going to set the market for every player at their position. You're not going to pay Dak Prescott as the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. You're not going to do that with Amari Cooper, especially after that Michael Thomas deal. And you're not trying to do that with Ezekiel Elliott. But the reality is the Cowboys are on the verge of being penny wise and dollar foolish. Because if you can't win without Ezekiel Elliott, then you need to try to mend fences and work that out. You've got to try to arrange something where you can negotiate a contract that you can live with over the course of the next 3 or 4 seasons, because that's what your window is to compete for a championship. Like, I know that they've got a lot of mouths to feed. You got to pay Dak. You got to pay Amari. The bill on Byron Jones is going to come due. Jalen Smith as well. So you've got to take care of all of those guys. And the reality is you might not be able to spread the wealth in terms of taking care of all of them. But right now, you have to get the best player on the team in the training camp.
And what they don't want to do with Dak and Amari, I would imagine, is something very similar to what they did with DeMarcus Lawrence, which is pay a really good player as if he is the best player at his spot in the league. But with Zeke, it's a different story here. Chris, what's those two lists you said Denny Green and the Vikings had? One was 1 through 53.
Oh, top to bottom, who's the best?
And then the next lined up to it was, you guys would make a list of top to bottom. Does it line up with how they're getting paid, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, on that first list, who's the best, 1 through 53? Who's at the top of that list for the Dallas Cowboys?
Zeke.
Zeke. And if we were to do, not the Cowboys list, but 1 through 32, starting running backs in the NFL, with Todd Gurley having that knee issue, Zeke's 1 or 2 to me with Saquon. Like, he is...
Ezekiel Elliott is the best running back when you talk about running the football. He's the best running back in the
He's the best pure runner, but
yes.
when you're paying a guy, you're paying for all the performance catching as well. But regardless, he's without question top 3, and you can say he's the best. So paying him as the best makes sense. Like, setting the market with Dak would be totally irrational. As good as Amari is, setting the market with Amari, I think, would be at least slightly irrational. Setting the market with Zeke would not be irrational. Their problem is they think the market got set too high by Todd Gurley's deal, and they doubled down on that problem by saying back in May, his deal starts at Todd Gurley's deal. So the Cowboys they've backed themselves into this corner, and then Zeke has kept them there by not showing up. I truly believe the Cowboys plan to make Ezekiel Elliott the highest paid running back in NFL history a year from now. Not right now. They knew they needed to pay right now. They knew about Byron Jones, even though he doesn't seem to be a priority. Dak has clearly been a priority, and Amari has to be because of what you traded to get him and because of what he did for Dak Prescott. But Zeke's the one who's forcing their hand, and the fact that they're really far away, according to Jane Slater, that's bad news for all parties, because it's not good for Zeke for this holdout $40,000 a day to continue to toll for him to potentially have to make the decision of missing games. And it's obviously not good for the Cowboys. They're out here signing Alfred Morris because they have no other legitimate alternative on the roster.
To Zeke's defense, since he came into the league 2016, no one's touched the ball more.
Yep.
No one's had more yards from scrimmage. So he's taking a pounding, and they're not going to change that offense. He's getting ready to touch the ball 450 times this year. Season after that, another 4. He got 1,000 touches in him before he even gets any new money. Now, I grew up in a single-parent home. My mom raised 7 kids. Now, my mom was amazing. And when she would cook dinner, my mom would always not eat. All the other kids would be able to eat and everything, and a lot of times my mom wouldn't have anything. Zeke said, listen, I ain't like Chris's mama. I need to eat. The reason why I'm eating all the time, I'm going to eat first. All right?
Right.
I ain't concerned about Dak. I know we came into the league together. I know we traded for Amari. That ain't my problem. I know you signed this great offensive lineman. That ain't my problem. Zeke is making sure, because of the wear and tear and what's happening in Los Angeles with Todd Gurley. If Todd Gurley was healthy, had played in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and the narrative was a little bit different, I think Zeke's camp would be a little bit different. But when you see him nicked, and he's a shell of his player, and come a year and a half, when the Rams come to cut him or ask him for a pay reduction, that's what Zeke is not trying to be in that same category. So I believe this is going to be ugly, man. They got to make Zeke the highest paid, and they've made Dak a priority. Let's see who's going to win, and I believe Jerry Jones is going to give the quarterback the extension first.
But if you make Dak the priority, does that mean that you have to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league or pay him $25, $30 million? Can't you say the best player in this team is Zeke, pay him the highest? Maybe Dak's the one that takes a bit of a pay cut?
No, Dak's not going to take a pay cut. I mean, Jerry Jones has got Dak on the cheap for the first 3 years of his deal. He was a 4th-round draft pick. He was a thousandaire, not a millionaire. So, I mean, this is Dak's first bite at the apple. With Ezekiel Elliott, though, I look at this situation and say that that's the insurance policy for the investment that you're about to make with your quarterback. If you're going to pay Dak Prescott $30 million a year plus, I want the very best version of Dak Prescott, and you're not going to see that without Ezekiel Elliott.
Yes,
that's not going to happen. So, I mean, you look at the situation and you prioritize it. The quarterback, obviously, by nature of the position, he's got to be first in line. But to me, the next one up has got to be Ezekiel Elliott. I know I traded a first-round draft pick for Amari Cooper, but it's not like I can't franchise Amari Cooper after his
Amari already
option.
let him off the hook.
Yeah, that's
Amari already told him, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's the perfect scenario for Jerry Jones. All you have to do is take care of your running back, and then you'll have the opportunity to address Amari after this season. But you got to get Zeke in. Everybody recognizes between the 3 triplets on that team, the position that has the shortest shelf life is the running back spot. That's why Zeke has more urgency to get his money now. And if Jerry wants a title, he's got to make sure he takes care of that guy.
And Jenna, to your question, they are not going to make Dak the highest paid quarterback in the league, but they also have no shot at getting him at $25 million per. Like they're right now the highest paid quarterback in the league is at $35 million per. Dak's camp is looking at Carson Wentz's deal and saying that plus X, because same draft class, same division, Dak's played every game, he's been to the playoffs twice, he's won a playoff game, and they don't care that Carson Wentz, his second season, played better. Well, they would argue he's not. They would argue that you can't be better if you're not playing. We don't.
Well, it's your agent, so he's representing you.
Yeah, I mean, and so when you see that Carson Wentz got 4 for 128, that's $32 million a year. I think right now the Cowboys would be thrilled if Dak said, I'll take the same contract. And that's where you start getting very expensive. 4 for 100 for Dak does not exist. Maybe a year ago we thought that would be a great contract for him. The market has moved, so they don't have to reset the market with Dak to still make him, give him near record-setting money.
A lot of contracts. All right, Chris, stick around. Coming up, Sean McVay singles out who's to blame for the Rams' Super Bowl loss last year. That's next on First Things First.
Slim around the waist.